Hello, my friend. This is Heather. This is the Back to Me podcast. This is Celebrity Chat Day, where I got to talk to awesome humans and learn something new and share something new with you. And hopefully, you learn something new that's helpful. And today, I'm talking with David Bennett. And hello.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm awesome. How are you doing?
I am well, thank you.
Awesome. And you, I think you told me you're a chiropractor by trade, are you?
By second trade, I was a
By second trade.
trial attorney by first trade, chiropractor by second trade. Yeah, sort of
That's a big flip
the
flop,
entrepreneurial journey, I guess I'll
right?
call it.
I was an attorney, but no, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to go and treat people and make them feel better. That's awesome.
Absolutely,
That's a good
absolutely.
that's a good switch. What made you switch, by the way?
Um, I had some health issues, and my father-in-law was a chiropractor, and he squared me away because at 29, 30 years old, you don't like waking up in an ambulance.
Oh my gosh.
And then he gave me the opportunity of going into practice with him. So, at that point, I went back to school, and the best decision I ever made for myself, my family. Yeah, fantastic.
I know, I mean, attorneys are always very stressed out people. So,
Very
yes,
much.
I used to be a CPA. So, and I went into the wellness world too. Whew, corporate world is too stressful. Let's go take care of other people who are stressed
Absolutely.
out, right? And so you've developed this really cool program that I was really curious about.
Hmm.
And is it called Metabolic Reset? Is that the name
It's
of it?
called metabolic body reset.
Metabolic Body Reset. And what is that? Tell me what that is, please.
So, it is a 10-week program that teaches the client how to control their weight, how to control their eating, with what food, when they're to eat, and then really gives them that initial bump to get moving with weight loss. And I hate to call it a diet because I don't think it really is a diet. It revolves around lifestyle because diets are on off on off on off. This is teaching you the proper ways to address food, what to eat, when to eat it, and then allowing you to understand how to control the food and your food intake. Meaning, after you're done with the 10 weeks, I'm not there, and
Right.
how to look at it and say, okay, I was on vacation, I gained a couple pounds back, but here I know exactly what I need to do. I
And
have the
is it
tools. Yeah,
so is it like a individualized? Because I know a lot of people like do this diet and it's, the paleo and you'll do this and but they don't all work for everybody, you
right.
know.
It individualized in the respects of I have a check in with them every day
Every day. Wow.
during the 10 weeks. Yep, and if I don't see that check in because it comes in on an app I have, um, they get questioned by there's an internal chat system within that app that I can say, hey, you know what? And really, the only way to monitor is to see what the weight is every morning and talking to the person, what happened yesterday, what you do, was there a lot more stress, so that they can also start to understand why what they did yesterday, why it had an effect on the scale today, so that when it happens again, they don't freak out and
Right.
say, okay, I'm done. No, not you. Here's why. You were outside working, you didn't drink enough water, those kinds of things. Or like one gentleman played a couple hockey games, and I think he gained a pound, and he said, I don't understand this. I was exercising all the time. I said, that's the problem. You were exercising, so you need to compensate for that with your water, with your protein, things like that. Where he was just like everybody does. New Year's resolutions are classic. Less calories, more exercise, and usually by the second or third week, you're frustrated because nothing's changing.
Right.
Yeah,
And they want it immediately. Anyway,
absolutely.
so it never happens immediately. And
Well, I'll
oh,
that's one of the bonuses of my program is it gives you that immediate feedback of, wait, this is working. And you start to see, in the first week, 4 or 5 pounds, 6 pounds. And, that gives you that motivation to say, wait, this does work. Now I get it.
And I guess, I mean, first, I have so many questions. So, how did you come up with it? First of all, where did this thing come from?
Okay.
Okay.
So I was the classic doctor. Don't treat yourself, worry about everybody else. And then
Right.
I have a certification in functional medicine, and I was speaking to an audience about autoimmune issues. And everybody there was looking for answers of, maybe, your blood work's fine, but you still feel terrible, that kind of, those kinds of things. And we give out a survey at the end of it, just very simple, what'd you like, what not, what could we do better? And I was reviewing the surveys afterward with my wife, and I was like, we're missing one. I mean, we had like, I don't know, let's say 18 people there. We only had 17 surveys. I said, didn't they fill it out? And my wife said, no, they filled it out, but it's not important. And which of course then kicked me into the 5-year-old. Come on, let me see. Because that's just piquing my curiosity at that point. And she showed it to me. The woman had put her name on it and hadn't filled out anything other than the additional comments, which said, "You're fat."
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's
pretty much
mean.
that look on your face just is exactly what I did. It took me a couple days to digest that. The next day I remember shredding that survey. I wish I would have saved it. I should have framed it because that was the impetus to get me moving, to kick me in the butt, to say, okay, you've tried all these different things. How are we going to do this? Well, and slowly put together the program we have. So I was patient zero,
Right.
client zero, and it worked phenomenally well. It was very easy, and I ran a small group through it to test my results. Came back the same results, and since then, that was 2017, I think. Um, Hundreds of people through the program of just lifestyle, getting
Right.
a handle on it, because you can't out exercise a bad diet. You can't out supplement a bad diet. And you can't, cut back on your food and then increase your exercise and expect your body to say that's not an additional stressor. So it goes
Right.
into that self-preservation mode, and you're not losing weight. I mean, I hear that all the time. I'm going to the gym 5-6 days a week. I'm eating less, but I'm not losing any weight. And it's because your body at that point is really in a stress self-preservation mode.
Have you ever read the Obesity Code?
I have, yes.
That's
Very
a
good. Yeah.
that's a very informative book. Dr. Funk, he's actually
Yep.
Canadian, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah, he's in Toronto. So shout out to Dr. Fung. Yeah, I actually read that book a few years ago, and it is sometimes a hard thing to wrap your head around that, you have to eat.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
you have.
have to look. Everything you put in your body is fuel, and you have to. It's a very simplistic way to look at it, but it is the right way to look at it. What's a hamburger from one of the fast food chains going to do for me versus a salad? Or what's this handful of M&Ms versus this handful of broccoli? And I have a picture I use sometimes when I do presentations. It's candy, 100 calories, versus broccoli or celery at 100 calories. I mean, it's like nobody sits down and eats that much celery.
No, not a chance, man.
But it's like 5 Starbursts or whatever it was we used in the picture. Yeah.
Now I
So,
could plow down a whole, package of Starburst
but everybody
without
can.
thinking about it.
But those calories are not created equal, and
Right.
not so much thinking along the calorie line, but along the quantity line, because they don't go into a restaurant and look and say, well, this would be probably about 500 calories. Now, most restaurants have it on their menu now because they're required. But, when you look at it and say, I'm going to have a little bit of protein, a little bit of fruit for my dessert, and some vegetables and a salad, you can eat a fair quantity of all of those and be really stuffed and not have gotten a lot of calories and not be worried about calories.
So do you, as part of your program, counting macros, calories,
We just count quantity.
quantity, like
That's it.
weight?
And not weight. Yeah.
Oh,
And usually, like I use this as an example quite a bit. Going out to dinner, if you go to Outback Steakhouse is one of them. A 6 ounce fillet with a side of broccoli and a salad without all the cheese and without all the dressing. It's a pretty filling meal.
and a half the bottle of wine? No? No?
Usually I get told they've had wine like 3/4 of the way through the program, because ideally for the initial 6 weeks at least, I'd like it to be alcohol free, because it's a lot of sugar,
Yeah.
and the sugar is inflammatory, and that leads to that whole cascade of metabolic syndrome and going down that route.
And it's funny because I talked to a woman a while ago now. She wrote a book called Bliss Beyond the Buzz, where she's advocating never having alcohol just because of what it does to you. But I mean, what happened during the whole pandemic, at least here? What was open? The liquor store and the coffee shops and the
Same in the
grocery store,
states.
right?
Same in the states,
So,
and they were doing a boom in business.
oh my gosh, were they ever? Well, what else you got to do, right?
Yep.
Don't sit home and think about life. So,
Yep. And
not that I didn't enjoy my own glass of wine or two. I'm not giving
there's
anybody a hard time.
there's something to be said for her idea, but there's also something to be said for enjoying your life. And that's why I don't like to call the metabolic body reset a diet, because I don't want to always feel deprived.
Right?
If I coach sports, and if we win, we go out and have pizza after. Like, I want to enjoy myself, but I want to also understand how to be able to bring myself back to where I was the day before.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's no the bad foods, the forbidden foods. I've gone through the diet industry. I've taken that trip. I know.
There are, in the initial 6 weeks, where we really want to get the weight loss and the NSVs. NSVs are non-scale victories. That's when, I
Okay.
wake up in the morning and somebody texts me and their blood sugar went down 100 points in the last month, or they saw
Cool.
their doctor yesterday and they took them off medication and things like that. Those are fantastic. One of the ones I always remember is a lady messaged me and she's like, I was at work yesterday and I hadn't seen this gentleman in a couple months. And he pulled me aside and he said, "Did you have work done?" And she was just like the happiest person in the world, because he thought she had either lipo or, cosmetic surgery. Yeah,
So
exactly.
anti-aging.
Because she had completely changed. So in that initial 6 weeks, there are limitations, but after that, we want to reintroduce all those items, because I want you to see how your body reacts, because you never know. You may have removed a toxin to your system that you might not have a quote unquote allergic reaction where you have to go to the hospital, but wait, I had that. I use myself as an example. Cream in your coffee is a no-no in the first 6 weeks, but you can have the coffee. So I took cream out of my coffee, and that was like, I couldn't wait. Day 43, yes, cream in my coffee. And I realized all my digestive issues came right back.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, wait a second. So then I waited a few days. I tried it again. And every once in a while, still, I will try it. And I usually end up throwing the cup of coffee away.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, I remember when I changed, I went to a naturopath actually and removed dairy. And wow, big
Big
change for
offender.
me, right?
Big offender. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can't digest whey apparently. So,
And that's what we learned during the process, where, or it maybe is like, hey, I went out to a party last night and I had some cheese and crackers and things like that. And then all of a sudden they're like, I gained 3 pounds yesterday.
oh,
And I'm like, well, maybe let's not do the cheese again, but next time let's just do the cheese, putting it back in. And they see that jump and they start to realize that, oh, wait, I used to eat cheese every day. And now I see what it's doing on a one day. So let me really be cognizant of when I'm going to be eating that.
so that number on the scale isn't like people think of it as just fat, like they view it as like fat going up and down. That's not really what it is.
The scale is not, people say, oh, I hate the scale. I hate the scale. The scale is not your friend or your foe. It's a tool to tell you what's going on. I mean, you could be retaining water, which could, so, and that's what I try to get people to understand. I don't want them to look at the scale as negative or positive. That's just a number. We want to understand why that number is there. And that's what we use it for.
So it's like a reference point of
absolutely.
measuring it's a way to measure the impact of what you're eating or drinking.
Yeah. And I ask all kinds of questions when we start, in the middle, at the end. We compare pictures, and there's the non-scale victories are the funnest, if that's even a word.
I got it. Let's make it a word. It is a word.
Those are the true ones. When somebody says, I can go out and I was able to go to the playground with my kids and not have to sit down on a bench. I mean, that's fantastic. And I mean, that hit me when I did the program originally, because my daughter was about 7 at the time. And I came home from the office and I sat down, and she just sat on my lap and was like, hey, I like the new you. And I was like, what are you talking about, the new me? And she's like, well, you used to come home and you would just want to sleep.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, she noticed. So that is, I talk about with clients locking in your why. It can't be why. I mean, it can be, I want to look in the mirror and feel better. But then, well, why do you want to do that? Well, maybe I want my husband or my boyfriend to look at me. Why do you want that? Because I want to be more active with them. Why do you want that? Because I want to be able to go on vacation. And it's a trickle down when you really dig into what that true why is. Like for me, it's my kids. As soon as she said that, it like smacked me in the face.
Right.
And I realized that you need to get to that with every person as well. And that's the part of the mindset journey.
And also, I think sometimes when you've been a certain way for a long time, you don't realize that you don't feel well. You just think it's a normal way of feeling. Like, it doesn't matter what your size is, like big or small. If you feel unwell, it affects all the aspects of your life. I mean, maybe your relationships, maybe your job, your patience with people, because you don't feel well. So, like, regardless of what the number is, I guess if you start feeling better, then, I mean, that's a huge why. But I think people are so used to not feeling well, they think that's just normal.
That's so true. I mean, you have to remember that anything you feel in your body is just a symptom or a warning light to tell you something's going on or something needs to be addressed. But too many times we just look at it as, oh, that's common. Well, it may be common, but it's not normal.
Right.
It may be common for a 60-year-old to have joint pain, but it's not the normal, where you don't need to take Advil every day.
Right.
Because those things all have consequences.
Yeah. And I think of it, so I was a massage therapist for 14 years. I just retired. And people would come to me and say, I'm in pain. I said, well, how long has this been going on? And, I said, it was giving you signs, but you weren't listening. So when you have actual like intense pain, that's the body shouting because you're not listening.
Absolutely.
It's like, listen to me now. Or it'll make you sick. Like it'll knock you down a few notches.
Yeah.
Just to really get your attention.
Well, I mean, when you start to think about it, when you're not where you used to be. So for me, like a couple weeks ago, I did a 10-mile hike with my son's Boy Scout troop. There would have never been that chance.
Right.
A 25-mile bike ride, do it. That would have never happened. Well, it might have happened, but probably I would have been in an ambulance again.
No.
Yeah. So the changes don't only affect you, they affect your entire family.
Right.
it's amazing. I'll tell you one story. I
Yeah.
remember a client. She did phenomenally well, but her biggest win wasn't her. Her
Hmm.
biggest win was she had changed the way they had done family dinners. And what's on our program is exactly what anybody can eat. They just ate more quantities because it was high schooler. Acne cleared up in a high schooler. That's a phenomenal win.
That's big.
Because that you don't even know what's going on with people at school and everything that way. So I mean, that was her big win. It had nothing to do with her.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, high school is stressful. So
Yes.
I was talking to someone about that just the other day. Her grandson was having stress at high school, and I was like, "Yeah, we're all traumatized from high school. So any win you can get to help you sail through it is so
Absolutely.
much better." Oh my goodness!
Absolutely.
And that's awesome. Like if you can see, like not just making yourself better in your relationships, but if you can convince your family to join with you, I mean, so much the better, right? Like probably better in school because you can concentrate more and pay attention and having everything working the way it's designed. Is that a good way to say it?
There's there's another one that I remember. She was upset at the end at her husband because she did my program, but because she was the cook in the house, he just ate whatever she cooked. And she lost like 22 or 23 pounds in the time period and felt great. He lost like 30. And she was like, I can't believe this. He just got, but in the long run, I got a message from her like 6 months later saying, I really want to express thank you because when he went for his annual physical, because he had lost the weight, the doctor had him take off his shirt and saw a growth in his abdomen.
Oh,
It wouldn't have
wow.
been visible but there wasn't all the fat there anymore.
Right.
So got at it early, and those are the kind like that's why I try to get people not to get stuck on the scale, not
Yeah.
to get stuck on this ideal picture because I get hammered on social media when I do videos. They're like, you don't go to the gym. You don't. I do go to the gym. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but I'm also a dad and I'm busy. Like I don't have time to go every single day. I run a business. That doesn't happen. So I'm not your quote unquote typical weight loss, guy, but
I would rather
I'm
see a real person
right.
talking about how
Exactly.
to eat healthy than a size 2. Well, I mean, you get the size 2 people
Yeah.
who show that I used to be a size 20 and now I'm a size 2. And I mean, not all body types are meant to be a size 2.
If you look at the standard guidelines for BMI, weight and height and that, I mean, I would look like I should be in the ambulance at that point because that's not my build. It would not be a good thing. Um, and that's a lot of people.
Right? It's
Yeah.
actually hilarious that they still use BMI. I was at my doctor's, and of course, only a personal trainer would say this. They showed me my BMI. I said, that doesn't measure muscle mass.
Right. It's but it's just another tool. But when they put too much emphasis on it, I remember hearing Michael Jordan when he played basketball. Now he was completely ripped, like there wasn't an ounce of. He was considered obese.
Right?
So based on his BMI, come on, let's use some reality. Let's use some common sense.
Yeah. And if you're feeling good and clear and you can do the things that you want to do in life and you don't have those strange stomach things that happen and the brain,
Yep.
I have a client who called it brain fog.
Mm.
She took herself off of bread. She just wanted to try an experiment. And she said suddenly she didn't have brain fog in the morning. I'm like, "Oh, wow. That's cool." It's like,
I've had clients who've come in and said, I need to be tested for gluten. And I'd be like, okay, well, we can run the test. And back when I was doing a lot more of that, um, it's like $1,000.
wow.
Wow, really? I'm like, how about this? How about you stop eating bread for a week and see how you feel?
Right.
That if you want, I can give you a piece of paper that says yes, you are. But if you just stop, we'll save you $1,000.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it is. I remember doing an elimination diet, trying to figure out what sensitivities were. I don't call them
Mhm.
allergies because I don't end up in the hospital, but things that your body reacts to. And it takes some dedication and consistency to stick to those things. So I guess that's why you're talking to them every day
Mhm.
because, you know, we could slide off the edge pretty easy, boom, and then one day turns to 2 days, turns to 3 days.
Right. Right. And that's especially at the beginning. It's more of like I want you to understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, and I want you to keep that why in your mind, because it's it's too easy. It's like sort of like going to when you go to the gym, when you take a couple weeks off, you got to sort of give yourself that push to get back in. I don't want you to have that. I want you
Right.
to stay steady, see what happens, see how good you feel, so that then you can say, well, okay, this makes sense.
Right. And I guess there has to be an education component for it
Yep.
because I mean, even people that I know they're well educated and informed because I've studied so much stuff. I, I'm surprised sometimes that they don't know nutrition information and, what actually is true. Because there's a lot of information out there that's so not true,
Right.
So I guess there's in that all 10 weeks? It's a 10-week program.
10 weeks. Yeah.
Is it like the whole time you're just, because it could be a huge download of information.
I slowly drip out the
Okay, I
information,
was going to say,
one topic per week, like sort of, getting, because otherwise, yes, it's like those are, and I talk about this, I sort of call it's a quadrant system. On one of the axis, you have knowledge, one of the axis, you have consistency. You have to get them to meet in the top right corner of, a lot of knowledge and a lot of consistency to fit. The problem is most people have a ton of knowledge but don't know what to do. The consistency's low, or low knowledge and they're trying the gym 6 days a week and that's not working. So you got to fit it all together because, I mean, with the internet, you can find anybody's theory on anything out there.
oh yeah, I've
Yeah.
read them. I always joke with my clients that I say I'm an experiment of one. You know, if they bring something to me, I'm like, I'll try it for a while and let you know.
Yeah.
I've done the paleo, I've done them all. And as Dr. Fung said, they all work for a little while and then they all stop working
And
because
that's
it's
the,
not a way to
yeah.
live.
Right, right. I mean, I love bacon, but like I'm not. I've seen eat bacon this meal. It's
That's a
reality
lot
has
of
to set
bacon.
in. Right. You have to have diversity, and you have to have what fits in your life. And I said this to a colleague last night. I was talking to. If you would look back, like talk to my grandfather or my great grandfather, great grandmother, they would look at what I'm recommending you eat and say, okay, like what's the magic here? What's like,
Right.
why is
What's your point?
right? Yeah, because this is what we just got so far away from that. Now we have to come back to it.
One of my mantra or things that I believe in is that we're being killed by convenience. So I understand, like I read the history of where frozen meals arose and how the people wouldn't even use them at first until they convinced moms that they could spend more times with their family if they used these frozen things instead of making a meal. So that maybe that was the beginning of the slide. But now it's like if it's not convenient, then we seem to think it's too much work to be healthy.
And the problem a lot of times with convenience is I'll call it shelf life that goes along with convenience. And you can search the internet. I've had colleagues do this. They pulled a Happy Meal or a burger from a fast food place and put it on the counter and let it sit there for a couple of years, exposed to the air, exposed to everything. And a couple of years later, it still looks like that burger.
I know.
Well, what's your body got to do to extract any nutrients from that?
Does it even know what the thing is?
Right. It doesn't grow mold. It doesn't break down. So something's wrong. So that can't be considered fuel for your body. That can be considered convenience.
We're going to be well preserved corpses.
Yeah, you're filling versus fueling.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. And that's a good, I like that one.
I gotta write that down
You
when we
gotta
get
write
off.
that down, man. Write that one down. Put it on a meme and put it on all your socials
There
for
you
your
go.
because I know you're on all the socials.
That may be a video tomorrow morning.
For sure, 100%. And we do have all of your socials, your social animal, in the show notes above, below, to the side. Depends on where we are. But yeah, we've making sure everybody can connect with you.
Awesome.
And what is the best way for people to connect with you?
The best way is any of the social media platforms is an option, but the best way is our website. And on the website, there you can see all about the program, and you can also I do free phone calls with people who have
Awesome.
questions about it to say, because not everybody's a great fit for it. When I'm talking to people and mutual agreement, whatever it may be, um, that okay, this maybe won't fit, or maybe won't fit right now. Maybe we need to take a couple preliminary
What
steps.
kind of people are not a good fit for it? I'm just super curious.
The one I remember, I don't eat any vegetables, and I won't eat any vegetables. All right, okay, we're in a
Okay.
hole here right off the bat.
Yeah.
So that I didn't completely say no. I said you've got to start to try some vegetables, and uh, they did. I don't know what ultimately ever happened, but 99.9% of people are a good fit because we're not. I'm not giving you a shake. I'm not giving you this prepackaged stuff. I'm telling you here, go to your fridge or go to your grocery store, buy what you like in these categories, and make it for yourself.
I can't. I'm still trying to wrap my head around not eating vegetables.
Yeah. I mean, I remember that phone call. I was like I was just dumbfounded. Like, what? None?
Like, I know there's some people don't like particularly, but none.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, there's
Wow.
some I don't like. Not my favorite, but at
I
least
don't like celery, by the way.
celery's good and filling. That's what I
I
can say.
love
Filling.
broccoli. I like
There you
Brussels
go.
sprouts. Come
Awesome.
on.
Awesome. Awesome. Those are all great vegetables, and they're filling. Lots of
Right?
fiber, very filling.
Broccoli's really good with bacon, by the way. So are
Everything's
Brussels
good with
sprouts. Yeah,
bacon.
I know. That's awesome.
But
Yeah, that would be a hard person to help if they wouldn't eat any
right.
vegetables.
So I mean, if they're willing to take the chance, take the try, and do some preliminary work and get some vegetables that they like, then they're good to go. But I don't want to get their hopes up and then them saying like, hey, I didn't eat any of this stuff. I'd be like, okay, well now you're starving yourself again.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's not what we
exactly.
want. Yeah.
I can't even imagine where they get their nutrients if they don't eat vegetables. Wow, my brain is just going crazy with that one.
I've, I've had conversation with people who eat fast food 5 days a week.
Whoa,
It's mind boggling. Yeah.
whoa. I
Yeah.
can't imagine that I would feel good at all.
And they don't, but they don't
Right,
realize that that's all they know.
right.
So that they don't realize it. But so that's the best way to get into,
Oh, yeah,
read the material. There's a lot of information there. And then, schedule a call and we'll talk about it.
that's awesome. Thank you so much.
And
Thank you so much.
you're
But
welcome.
before you go, I always ask, do you have a final word of wisdom?
Final word of wisdom. I'll go back to fill your body. Don't fill your body, fuel your body. How's that?
Boom,
I
mic
remembered
drop.
it.
Yes, I know. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much, David, for coming and hanging out and sharing all this awesome wisdom.
You're welcome.
Such a pleasure. So interesting. And yeah, I think that's a super important message. Like, put the right put the right gas in the engine and you'll be a sports car,
And
right?
it's so important for moms because they usually take care of their entire family.
Yeah.
And they're the last to come when, in fact, they need to take care of themselves first and let that trickle down to the family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's like, I know you had a final word of wisdom, but the thing that I had been forgetting to say was that when moms are eating well, they're teaching their kids to eat well, right?
absolutely. Absolutely.
So happier, healthier, everybody's happier and healthier, which is so amazing. And stop putting yourself last
Exactly.
out there.
Put yourself. I mean, don't. I don't mean to sound, rude. Don't put yourself last. Put yourself first, because first is going to benefit everybody else.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
what you're trying to do by putting yourself last.
I know. We've got it upside down.
Yep, absolutely.
So crazy. Well, hopefully we've convinced you to at least put yourself at the top.
Very good.
Eat a few vegetables. Thank you so much, David, for hanging out.
Thank you.
My friends out in podcast land, peace out. Eat your vegetables. Let us know how you're feeling. Take care.